Hold her down. The words rang out like a command across the school hallway. 3 older students closed in on her, their hands gripping, their laughter sharp and cruel. In seconds, a 16-year-old black girl was shoved against a locker. Her braided black hair caught the fluorescent light. Her deep brown skin pressed against cold metal. Her dark eyes blazed with something they did not recognize: fury and focus. Their fingers tightened around her throat. Phones lifted all around them, recording what they thought would be another moment of humiliation, another viral video of a victim. What they did not know was this: she was not powerless. She was not weak. She was a trained fighter, and their laughter was about to die in their throats. The school hallways of Riverside High School smelled of floor wax and instant coffee. It was a Monday morning in November. The building sat in southeast Portland, 3 blocks from the Max station. 1,800 students moved through these halls every day. 43% were students of color. 12 languages were spoken between classes. Posters lined the walls. Upcoming basketball games, winter formal committees, anti-bullying campaigns that no one really paid attention to. At the far end of the hall, Amara Johnson adjusted the straps of her backpack. She kept her pace steady, head down, eyes forward. At 16, she had mastered the art of being invisible. Teachers saw her as the quiet girl who always turned in assignments early. Honor roll, 3.7 GPA. Classmates barely saw her at all. But the truth was something else entirely. Amara carried a secret life. Every evening after school, while others played video games or scrolled through their phones, she trained. Hours in a dimly lit MMA gym. Fists pounding against heavy bags, her body aching, her mind sharpening with every drill. 6 years of footwork, 6 years of grappling, 6 years of discipline, a dedication born from her father's insistence that strength was not just about the body, it was about the spirit. Still, here in the hallway, no one knew, and that was exactly how she wanted it. Until today. Today, the secret would come out. Today, everything would change. She heard them before she saw them. The mocking laughter. The sharp, deliberate footsteps that always trailed her in the hallways. Tyler Grant, 17 years old, 6 feet 1 inch tall, broad-shouldered, star of the wrestling team. He thought his size made him king of the school. His 2 friends flanked him like jackals. Mason Carter on the left, Kyle Anderson on the right, both grinning. Amara did not flinch. She kept walking. Her eyes stayed forward. "Hey." Tyler's voice cut through the noise. "I am talking to you." He shoved her shoulder hard. She stumbled slightly but kept moving. That only fueled him. "What is the matter? Too good to talk to us?" Students nearby slowed their pace. Phones already coming out. Hungry for entertainment. Amara adjusted her bag again. Her voice was calm when she spoke. "I do not want trouble." Mason laughed. "Too late for that. If you believe justice is still alive, show us by hitting that subscribe button right now. This is Tales of Black Justice, where we share true stories of people who were pushed down but rose up stronger. Press like button if you stand with those who refuse to stay invisible. The morning had started like any other at Riverside High School. The building sat near the Max Orange Line. Every morning, trains brought students from across Portland. The school was newer than most. Built in the mid-90s when Southeast Portland was changing, now it held 1,800 students. A mix of cultures and languages and stories. Amara Johnson had been coming here for 2 years. She transferred sophomore year when her family moved from North Portland. The neighborhood was more affordable, closer to her father's gym, closer to her mother's hospital. She took the Max every morning, 22 minutes from Southeast 82nd Avenue to the school. Her backpack held 3 textbooks and a worn water bottle. Her headphones played lo-fi beats. The same routine, every single day. At 16, she had learned something important. Invisibility was a survival skill. Keep your head down. Turn in assignments early. Do not make waves. But today, the waves were coming for her. Tyler Grant had been watching her for weeks. Not because he liked her, because she ignored him. In his world, ignoring him was an insult. He was the wrestling team captain. He dated the prettiest girls. He drove his father's Tesla to school. Everyone noticed Tyler. But Amara walked past him like he was invisible. And that, to Tyler, was unforgivable. So he made it his mission. To make her see him. To make her afraid. The Johnson family lived in a 2-bedroom apartment in Southeast Portland. 2nd floor. No elevator. Rent was $1,650 a month. Michael Jones worked as the head instructor at Warriors Path MMA, a small gym near 82nd Avenue. He made $52,000 a year. Lena Johnson, Amara's mother, worked as a certified nursing assistant at Legacy Emmanuel Medical Center. Night shifts, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. She made $38,000 a year. Together they earned $90,000. Enough to live, not enough to be comfortable. But they made it work. The apartment was small but warm. Photos lined the walls. Family moments, birthdays, graduations, and one photo that always caught Amara's eye. A faded poster hung in the living room. Sydney, 2000. Olympics. The image showed a younger man in a taekwondo uniform, his fist raised high, a bronze medal gleaming around his neck. The glass frame was dusty now. No one cleaned it anymore. Amara passed it every day on her way to her room. Her father's past. Locked behind glass. Michael Jones, Olympic bronze medalist. A man who once stood on the world stage. Now he swept gym floors and taught teenagers how to throw a proper jab. Some glory fades quietly. That Sunday night, before everything changed, the family sat together for dinner. Lena placed plates on the table. Baked chicken, rice, steamed broccoli. Michael watched his daughter eat. "How was training yesterday?" he asked. Amara shrugged. "Fine. We worked on arm drags." Michael nodded slowly. He had been teaching her since she was 10 years old. 6 years of discipline. 6 years of technique carved into muscle memory. "Remember," he said quietly, "strength is not about showing off." Amara had heard it 1,000 times. "I know, Dad. It is about knowing when to use it." He paused, and when to hold it back. She met his eyes. "I always hold it back. At school, no one knew. Not the teachers who smiled politely at her in the hallways. Not the students who pushed past her to get to class. Not Tyler Grant and his crew who thought she was just another quiet girl. That was exactly how she wanted it. Invisible meant safe." Monday morning arrived with the usual Portland drizzle. Amara left the apartment at 7:15. She walked 3 blocks to the Max station. The Orange Line train pulled up at 7:23. She boarded with her headphones in. Music drowned out the world. At 7:40, she arrived at school. The building buzzed with pre-class energy. Lockers slammed. Voices echoed. Laughter bounced off tile floors. Amara moved through it all like a ghost. First period was history. She took her usual seat in the back row, opened her notebook, waited for class to start. But class never came. At 7:45, between first and second period, Tyler found her. At that same moment, in another part of the school, a girl named Sarah Mitchell sat in the library. She was 15 years old, a sophomore, small for her age, 5 feet 3 inches, 110 pounds, brown hair that fell past her shoulders. She wore clothes that helped her disappear. Gray hoodie, jeans, worn sneakers. Sarah had learned to be invisible too, for different reasons. On her lap sat a worn notebook. Inside, 147 pages of handwritten notes, dates, times, names, locations. Every time Tyler Grant had pushed her into a locker, every insult he had thrown at her, every threat he had made, she had been recording for a year, waiting for courage she did not have, waiting for someone to care, but no one did. So she kept writing, kept documenting, kept hoping that someday someone would see. She heard them before she saw them. The mocking laughter, the sharp, deliberate footsteps that always trailed her in the hallways. Tyler Grant, 17 years old, 6 feet 1 inch tall, broad-shouldered, star of the wrestling team. He thought his size made him king of the school. His 2 friends flanked him like jackals, Mason Carter on the left, Kyle Anderson on the right, both grinning, both eager. Amara did not flinch. She kept walking. Her eyes stayed forward. "Hey!" Tyler's voice cut through the noise. "I am talking to you." Amara kept walking, her pace steady, her breathing calm. Tyler's voice grew louder. "What's the matter? Can't understand English?" Scattered laughter rippled through the hallway. Students slowed their pace, phones already coming out. Mason chimed in with a sneer. "Maybe she doesn't speak it." More laughter. Kyle added, "Or maybe she's just too dumb to answer." Amara's jaw tightened, but she kept walking. That only fueled them. Tyler moved faster. He shoved her shoulder hard. Amara stumbled slightly but kept moving. The shove was harder this time. "Hey, I said I am talking to you." "What, you think you are special?" Students nearby formed a loose circle now. Anticipating, waiting, recording. Amara stopped walking. She turned slowly to face him. Her voice was quiet, controlled. "I do not want trouble." Tyler laughed, a harsh, mocking sound. Too late for that. He stepped closer, invading her space. "Let me guess. You think you are better than us?" Kyle smirked. "Nah, look at those shoes." He pointed at her worn Nikes. "She is just another broke girl trying to fit in." Mason laughed. "For real? Those look like thrift store rejects." The crowd snickered. Phones lifted higher. Tyler leaned in. His voice dropped, cold and deliberate. "Girls like you do not belong here. This school is for people who matter. And you? You are nobody." The next moment happened fast. Tyler's hand shot out. He grabbed Amara by the collar, slammed her back against the lockers with a metallic clang. Gasps echoed through the hallway. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." Around them, 17 students were recording now. Tyler's face was inches from hers, his breath hot, his eyes cruel. Everyone is watching now. By tomorrow, the whole school will know exactly what you are. Nothing. Mason moved in from the left. He grabbed her right arm. Kyle came from the right, positioning himself near her throat. Tyler continued, his voice loud enough for the crowd. What are you going to do? Cry? Scream? He glanced at the phones, then back at her. No one is coming to save you, because no one cares about girls like you. His hand moved toward her throat. Hold her down. Mason tightened his grip on her arm. Kyle's hand pressed near her collarbone. Not quite choking, not yet. Just controlling, intimidating. Tyler smiled, cruel and confident. Let's teach her where she belongs. The hallway roared with cruel encouragement. Do it, Tyler. Teach her a lesson. She thinks she is tough. But Amara's eyes did not show fear. They showed something else entirely. Calculation. Her breathing slowed. Her mind sharpened. She heard her father's voice. Not the crowd. Not Tyler's threats. Just her father. Stay calm under pressure. Breathe. Position before submission. Her fingers flexed against Mason's grip. She could feel the weakness in his hold, the imbalance in his stance. Tyler's weight was too far forward. Kyle's grip was sloppy, untrained. They thought they were in control. They had no idea they had just walked into a fight they could not win. Amara exhaled slowly, steadying her pulse. 1 second more, she told herself. Let them think they have won. Then strike. Mason's grip on her right arm was loose. Too loose. He did not realize the danger. In one sharp movement, Amara twisted her wrist. Breaking free took less than 2 seconds. Mason's eyes widened. What the? Her elbow shot back, precise, controlled. It connected with his ribs. Not hard enough to break anything. Hard enough to stop him. Mason doubled over with a gasp. He stumbled backward, clutching his side. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Holy, did you see that? Tyler muttered. What the hell? But Amara was not finished. Kyle still had his hand near her throat, pressing just hard enough to try and control her. His stance was wide but lazy, his knees unprotected. Amara's knee shot up fast, precise, driving straight into the soft muscle above his shin. Kyle cried out. The pain sent him crashing to the floor. His phone flew from his pocket. It skidded across the hallway tiles. The laughter in the crowd died instantly, replaced by stunned silence. Wait, what just happened? Oh my God, only Tyler remained. His hand still gripped Amara's collar. But for the first time, his grip was not confident. It trembled. His eyes, wide with confusion and fear, locked on her steady, unblinking stare. The smirk was gone. The arrogance was gone. Only shock remained. You do not want to do this, Amara said quietly. Her voice was firm, low, dangerous. But Tyler was too proud, too humiliated in front of his audience. His face flushed red. He tightened his hold on her collar, trying desperately to regain dominance. You think a little kick makes you tough? I will show you. He did not finish the sentence. Amara's hand shot up, seizing his wrist with practiced precision. In one fluid motion, she rotated her body, twisting his arm into a lock, the same lock her father had taught her 100 times, the same lock that had won her 3 amateur tournaments. Tyler's eyes bulged. Pain shot up his arm like lightning. His knees buckled. Let go of me, he hissed, struggling. But every movement only made the pressure worse. Let go! The hallway had gone completely silent. Every phone kept recording. But the commentary had vanished. No one was laughing now. No one was cheering. They were watching something they did not understand. A girl they had ignored for 2 years. A girl they thought was weak. Dismantling the school's alpha male like he was nothing. Amara leaned in close, her face inches from his. Her voice calm and chilling. This is not strength. This is desperation. And desperation gets you hurt. She released him with a controlled shove. Not violent, just firm. Tyler staggered backward, his legs unsteady. He crashed against the lockers, his breath ragged, his face flushed with shame and pain. He cradled his right wrist, already swelling. The silence held for 3 full seconds. Then came the whispers. Did you see that? She just dropped all 3 of them. How did she? She knows how to fight. Who is she? Amara bent down calmly, picking up her backpack from where it had fallen. She slung it over her shoulder with deliberate ease. Her breathing was steady, as though she had merely swatted away flies instead of dismantling 3 bullies in 9 seconds. She looked at Tyler one last time. He was still against the lockers, his wrist cradled, his pride shattered. Mason, still clutching his ribs, muttered weakly. You are crazy. Kyle groaned from the floor, barely able to sit up. And Tyler, red-faced and trembling, pointed at her with his good hand. His voice cracked. This is not over. You will regret this. Amara's gaze cut through him like steel. Cold. Unwavering. The only thing I regret, she said evenly, is that I let you believe you were stronger than me for this long. She turned and walked through the parted sea of students. Each step was quiet, but thunderous in its impact. No one dared block her path. No one spoke. Phones stayed raised, but no one laughed anymore. Some faces looked at her with awe, some with fear, some with newfound respect. A girl near the back whispered to her friend, "Who is she?" Her friend whispered back, "I do not know, but I want to find out." By the time Amara reached the end of the hallway, she knew one thing. Her secret was out. And tomorrow, when the video spread, when the whispers turned to headlines, the world would know. She was not just the quiet girl in the corner. She was a fighter. And this was only the beginning. Behind her, Tyler slid down the lockers to the floor, his wrists throbbing, his ego crushed. Mason limped over to help him up. Kyle finally managed to stand, wincing with every step. The three boys who had cornered her. The three boys who thought she was nothing, now broken and humiliated. All in 9 seconds. The phones kept recording. Already uploading. Already going viral. And the world was about to meet Amara Johnson. The principal's voice echoed through the intercom 15 minutes later, slicing through the tense silence of every classroom. Amara Johnson, Tyler Grant, Kyle Anderson, Mason Carter. Report to the office immediately. Every head in Amara's history class turned toward her, some with curiosity, some with fear, a few with the wide-eyed awe usually reserved for superheroes. Amara rose slowly, gathering her books. Her heartbeat was steady. She had been in more intimidating arenas before, training cages, tournament mats, but never like this, never with the weight of her entire school's gaze pressing down on her. The walk down the hall felt longer than usual. Tyler and his friends trailed behind her, whispering furiously. Mason still limped slightly. Kyle rubbed at his shin, his face twisted in irritation. Tyler tried to mask his humiliation with anger, but his swollen wrist betrayed him. They reached the office together. The secretary did not even look up. "Go right in." Principal David Harris sat behind his desk, glasses perched low on his nose, paperwork scattered in front of him. He was a tall man in his late 50s, thinning gray hair, a voice that carried weight. Beside him sat Patricia Dawson, the school counselor. Her expression was tight with concern. "Sit," Harris ordered. They obeyed. For a long moment, silence stretched across the room. The only sound was the ticking of the wall clock. Harris finally leaned forward, folding his hands. "I have seen the videos." His tone was flat, unreadable. "Half the school has by now." Tyler jumped at the opening. "Then you know what she did. She attacked us, sir. Out of nowhere, like some psycho." Mason nodded eagerly. "Yes, she just went crazy." Kyle muttered. "Nearly broke my leg." Harris's gaze shifted to Amara. She sat straight, her backpack resting on her lap, her eyes steady. "And what do you have to say for yourself, Miss Johnson?" Amara's voice was calm. "They grabbed me first. They tried to choke me." "That is a lie," Tyler burst out, his face red. Enough," Harris snapped, his voice sharp. Tyler sank back, seething. Patricia Dawson interjected gently. "Amara, what you did, those were not the moves of an ordinary student defending herself. Where did you learn to fight like that?" The question hung in the air. Amara hesitated. She thought of her father. Years of training, hours of bruises, the discipline, the lessons. His voice echoed in her mind. "Do not ever use this to show off. Only when you have no other choice." Finally, she said, "My father trains me. He is a coach." "A coach?" Harris raised an eyebrow. "What kind of coach?" Amara's silence was her answer. Patricia Dawson's eyes widened slightly, connecting the dots. "Mixed martial arts," she guessed. Amara neither confirmed nor denied, but her stillness spoke volumes. Harris sighed, rubbing his forehead. "This is a school, not a cage match. Do you understand the liability here? The danger? The danger?" Amara replied quietly. "Was 3 boys trying to choke me in front of half the school. No one stepped in. No teachers, no staff, just phones recording." The words hit harder than any strike she had thrown. Patricia Dawson shifted uncomfortably. Even Harris had no immediate response. Tyler, desperate, leaned forward. "She is dangerous. She could kill someone. You cannot let her stay here." Amara turned her head slowly, her gaze locking on him. "If I wanted to hurt you, Tyler," she said evenly, "we would not be sitting here right now." The room went cold. Even Harris's stern mask slipped for a second. Finally, the principal cleared his throat. "This situation will require further review. For now, you're all suspended for 3 days. Effective immediately." "What?" Tyler shot up from his chair. "You are suspending me?" "She is the one who—" "You are all involved," Harris cut him off. "Now get out, all of you." The boys stormed out, muttering under their breath. Amara rose more slowly. At the door, Patricia Dawson called after her. "Amara." She paused. Be careful. People fear what they do not understand. And right now, they do not understand you. Amara met her eyes, then gave a small nod before leaving. Outside the office, whispers followed her like shadows. Students leaned against lockers, phones buzzing with notifications. She caught fragments of conversations. She dropped them like nothing. Her dad is like some pro fighter. Do not mess with her. By the time she reached the parking lot, she knew the story was already spiraling out of her control. Videos would hit social media tonight. By morning, the entire town would know. At home, her father was waiting. Michael Jones stood in the kitchen, mid-40s, tall and broad, the presence of someone who had spent years in the ring. His hair was shaved close. His eyes were sharp but kind. He wore a faded hoodie. His calloused hands rested on the counter. He did not need to ask what happened. He had already seen the video. You held back, he said simply. Amara dropped her bag on the floor. I had to. Michael studied her for a moment. And now they are scared of me, she admitted. Good, he said. Fear keeps them from trying again. But it also paints a target. You need to be ready. Amara nodded. She had always known this day would come. The day when her quiet life and her hidden training collided. She just had not expected it to be in a high school hallway with the world watching through their phones. Later that night, lying in bed, she scrolled through her phone. The videos had already spread beyond the school. Local community pages, Instagram reels, TikTok clips. Comments flooded in, some calling her a hero, others labeling her a threat. One caught her eye. She is just getting started. Wait until they find out who her father is. Amara's chest tightened. Tomorrow would not just be another day. Tomorrow the fight would move beyond the hallway, and she was not sure anyone was ready for what came next. The whispers did not die down overnight. If anything, they grew louder, sharper, more relentless. By the time Amara set foot in her neighborhood grocery store that Saturday, she could feel eyes following her every move. A mother tugged her child closer as they passed her in the cereal aisle. Two teenagers she did not recognize snickered and whispered, "That is her." They held their phones like shields. She kept her chin high, her posture straight, the same way her father had always told her to carry herself. Respect yourself first. The world follows later. But she could feel the sting of judgment clinging to her skin like smoke. When she reached the counter to pay, the cashier smirked. An older white man with thinning hair. You the girl from the video? He asked. The fighter? His tone was not curious. It was mocking. Yes, Amara said quietly. He leaned closer. Should have been locked up if you ask me. Does not matter what they did. Kids do not just go breaking bones at school. That ain't normal. Before she could respond, Michael appeared at her side. He set a carton of milk and a loaf of bread on the counter, his presence towering. Calm but firm. What is not normal? He said evenly. Is grown men talking to kids like that? My daughter defended herself. If you have got a problem with it, take it up with me. The cashier's smirk faltered. He rang up their items in silence. That night, as Amara sat on the couch scrolling through her phone, the weight of everything pressed down on her. Comments under the videos were split like a battlefield. She is a hero. She is dangerous. She saved herself. She should be expelled. One thread went on for hundreds of replies. People debating her like she was a headline instead of a human being. Her mother, Lena, sat beside her, gently taking the phone. Baby, you do not need to read that. Amara's voice cracked. But it is me. It is my life. And they are all talking like they know who I am. Lena brushed a curl from her daughter's face. They do not. They see a clip. Not the girl who studies till midnight. Who helps me cook. Who never once complained when life was hard. They see a moment, not the years that shaped you. Amara swallowed hard, fighting the burn in her chest. Then why does it feel like they are winning? Because you are still standing, Lena said softly. And standing always feels heavier when the world tries to knock you down. By Tuesday evening, the story had taken a new turn. Michael's phone would not stop buzzing. Unknown numbers. Messages from people he had not spoken to in years. Lena looked at him across the dinner table. What is happening? He opened his phone. A text from Marcus Williams, his old Olympic teammate, now a UFC commentator. Brother, I just saw the video. That is your daughter? The whole MMA community is talking. Call me. Michael's chest tightened. Another text, this one from a reporter at the Oregonian. Mr. Jones, we would like to interview you about your Olympic career and your daughter's training. Please call. Amara looked up from her plate. Dad? Michael showed her the screen. She read the messages. Her face went pale. They know, she whispered. Lena reached across the table. Know what? Michael exhaled slowly. They found out who I am. The next morning, the news broke wide. KGW, the local NBC affiliate, led with the story. The anchor's face filled TV screens across Portland. Professional. Composed. New developments in the Riverside High School incident. Footage rolled. Not of Amara this time, but of a younger Michael Jones, standing on a podium. Sydney, 2000. A bronze medal gleaming around his neck. The anchor continued. Michael Jones, the father of 16-year-old Amara Johnson, is a two-time Olympic medalist. More footage. Athens, 2004. Silver medal ceremony. Jones competed in Taekwondo for Team USA. The screen showed another photo. Michael in a USA jacket, standing with athletes in Beijing. He later coached the Olympic team in 2008. The anchor paused. Jones retired from competition in 2009. He now operates a small MMA gym in Southeast Portland. The question many are asking tonight: did his daughter learn to fight from an Olympic champion? Across town, in the Grant family living room, Richard Grant stared at the TV screen, his face drained of color. His lawyer sat beside him, taking notes. An Olympic medalist, the lawyer muttered. This changes everything. Jennifer Grant looked at her husband. What does that mean? Richard did not answer immediately. He was thinking about the lawsuit they had planned, the narrative they had built. Dangerous girl, excessive force, victim son. But now the story had shifted. The girl was not just any girl. She was the daughter of a champion, trained by one of the best in the world. And Tyler? Tyler was the one who grabbed her first. The lawyer closed his notebook. We need to reconsider our approach. At Riverside High School, students clustered around phones, watching Olympic footage, watching Michael's old fights. Dude, her dad won a silver medal. He was on the Olympic team. No wonder she dropped them like that. Sarah Mitchell stood at her locker, listening. The conversation had changed. Yesterday, she is dangerous. Today, she is trained by a legend. It was not fair. The same action, different story. But Sarah understood something. The world did not care about what you did. It cared about who you were, and now they knew who Amara was. That evening, Michael sat with Amara in their living room. The faded Olympic poster on the wall seemed less dusty now. Lena had cleaned it that afternoon. The glass gleamed. You never wanted them to know, Amara said quietly. Michael shook his head. I wanted you to have a normal life, without the weight of my past. But now they know. He looked at his daughter. And maybe that is not such a bad thing. Amara frowned. How? Michael stood, walking to the poster. He touched the frame gently. For years, I tried to disappear, to be small, to be quiet. I thought that would protect you. He turned back to her. But I was wrong. Silence does not protect you. Standing up does. You showed me that. Amara felt tears prick her eyes. I was so scared, Dad, I know. But you did it anyway. That is courage. The next day, Marcus Williams posted on Twitter. His account had 300,000 followers. The post read, Just found out my Olympic brother Michael Jones's daughter defended herself at school. Proud of her. Proud of him. This is what we train for. Not to hurt, but to protect. Hashtag Black Excellence. The post went viral. Within 6 hours, it had 50,000 retweets. Comments poured in. Olympic coach raises Olympic daughter. This is generational excellence. They messed with the wrong girl. The narrative was shifting. But Amara knew something the internet did not. This was not about glory. It was about survival. And the fight was far from over. On Thursday afternoon, Patricia Dawson sat in her office, reviewing Tyler Grant's file. She had been a school counselor for 18 years. She knew the signs. Tyler's behavior was not random. It was learned. She picked up her phone, dialed a number. Child Protective Services. How may I help you? Friday morning, Patricia Dawson stood on the porch of the Grant family home. The house was beautiful. West Hills, expensive cars in the driveway. Jennifer Grant opened the door. Her smile was tight. Can I help you? Mrs. Grant, I am Patricia Dawson, Tyler's school counselor. May I come in? Inside, the house was immaculate. Too perfect. The kind of perfect that hides things. Richard Grant appeared, tall, authoritative, wearing a suit even at home. What is this about? He demanded. Patricia Dawson remained calm. I am here to discuss Tyler's home environment. Richard's jaw tightened. Our home is fine, is it? Patricia opened her folder. Because I have documentation here. 2 police calls to this address. 2015, 2018. Both for domestic disturbances. Jennifer looked away. Richard's face reddened. Those were misunderstandings, were they? Patricia continued. I also have Tyler's medical records. 3 emergency room visits in the past 4 years. Broken collarbone, concussion, fractured wrist. She paused. All attributed to sports injuries. Richard stepped forward. My son plays wrestling. Injuries happen. Patricia met his eyes. Mr. Grant, you served in Iraq, 2006 to 2009. 3 deployments. You were diagnosed with PTSD in 2012. The room went silent. I understand what war does to a person, she said quietly. I have worked with veteran families before. But your son is not your enemy. Jennifer began to cry softly. Richard's hands clenched into fists, then slowly unclenched. His voice, when it came, was broken. I never wanted to be like this. Patricia nodded. Then let us help you. That same evening, Patricia Dawson sat across from Amara and her parents in the Johnson apartment. There is something you need to know, she began. She explained what she had found. Tyler's home life, his father's PTSD, the cycle of violence. Amara listened in silence. When Patricia finished, Lena spoke first. That poor boy. Michael nodded slowly. I've seen this before. In the Marines, men who come home but never really leave the war. Amara stared at her hands. He still hurt me, she said quietly. Yes, Patricia agreed. He did. And that was wrong. But hurt people hurt people. Amara looked up. So what happens now? Patricia leaned forward. Now we break the cycle. That night, Amara could not sleep. She kept thinking about Tyler. He was a bully. He had grabbed her, choked her, humiliated her. But he was also a victim. She thought about her own father. Michael had served too. He had seen war. But he had never raised a hand to her. Never screamed. Never hurt. What made the difference? Dad, she asked the next morning. How did you come home? Michael understood the question. I had help, he said simply. Therapy, your mother, discipline. I chose to heal instead of hurt. Amara nodded. The hearing was in 2 days. She would face Tyler then. She would tell her truth. But now she understood something. Justice was not just about punishment. It was about breaking cycles. On Saturday, Michael made a phone call to Richard Grant. The conversation was brief. This is Michael Jones. There was a long pause. I know who you are, Richard said quietly. Michael continued. I served too. Marines, 2003 to 2007. I know what it does to you. Another pause. What do you want? I want to help, Michael said. Not for me. Not for you. For our kids. Richard's voice cracked. I do not know how to fix this. Michael exhaled slowly. Neither did I. But I found people who did. There is a veterans group at the VA. Tuesdays and Thursdays. I went for 3 years. Why are you telling me this? Because your son is hurting people, Michael said. The same way you are hurting him. And my daughter should not have to fight your war. The line went quiet for a long moment. Finally, Richard spoke. I will think about it. That is all I ask, Michael said. Then he hung up. Lena had been listening from the kitchen doorway. She walked over to her husband, placed a hand on his shoulder. That was kind of you. Michael shook his head. It was necessary. We cannot heal this with more anger. Amara, sitting at the table, looked at her father with new eyes. She had always known he was strong, but this was a different kind of strength. The kind that extended a hand instead of a fist. Monday morning arrived cold and gray. Typical November in Portland. The school board hearing was scheduled for 2 o'clock. At the Johnson apartment, Amara dressed carefully. White blouse, black pants, her hair pulled back. She looked older than 16. Lena helped her with her collar. You ready, baby? Amara nodded, but her hands trembled slightly. Michael appeared in the doorway, wearing a button-down shirt, dress pants. He rarely dressed up. But today was important. Remember, he said, tell your truth. Nothing more, nothing less. The boardroom was packed by 1:30. Parents, teachers, students pressed against windows outside. The long table at the front held 5 board members. Chairwoman Linda Brooks sat in the center, mid-60s, gray hair pulled into a bun. Reading glasses. Principal Harris sat to her right, Patricia Dawson to her left. On the table sat a manila envelope. Unmarked, Amara sat with her parents in the front row. Across the aisle, Tyler sat with his parents, his arms still in a cast, his face pale. Mason and Kyle sat behind them with their families. Sarah Mitchell sat alone in the back row, her worn notebook clutched to her chest. At 2 o'clock sharp, Chairwoman Brooks called the meeting to order. We are here to review the incident that occurred on November 18th. Involving 4 students, 3 days of suspension have been served. Today we determine further consequences. She looked around the room. Before we begin, we received this 2 days ago. She picked up the manila envelope. Delivered anonymously to the main office, she opened it. Inside, 147 pages. She began to read aloud. September 14th, 2023. Tyler Grant pushed me into locker 42. Witnesses, Emma Torres, David Kim. She flipped pages. October 3rd. Tyler called me a slur in the cafeteria. October 19th. Tyler tripped me in the hallway. November 2nd. Tyler threw my books in the trash. The list went on. And on and on. Not just Tyler. Other names appeared. Mason, Kyle, others. Not just physical violence. Verbal abuse. Sexual harassment, threats, dates, times, locations, witness names, screenshots of text messages, photos of bruises, 147 pages of evidence, 147 pages of failure. Chairwoman Brooks looked up. Her face was pale. Does anyone know who submitted this? Silence filled the room. In the back row, Sarah Mitchell sat perfectly still, her hands folded in her lap, her heart pounding. For 1 year, she had recorded everything. Every insult, every push, every threat, waiting for courage she did not have. Until Amara showed her what courage looked like. Sarah did not raise her hand. She did not need credit. The evidence spoke for itself. Chairwoman Brooks set down the envelope. This document lists 12 victims spanning 14 months. Are any of these victims present? Slowly, a hand rose. Emma Torres, Jr. Tyler pushed me last year, she said quietly. I told my homeroom teacher. Nothing happened. Another hand. David Kim, sophomore, he called me names. Made fun of my accent. I reported it to the office. They said boys will be boys. More hands. One after another. 6 students stood, their voices shaking but clear. Sarah watched from the back, tears streaming down her face. They were speaking. Because Amara had fought. Because someone had finally said no. Chairwoman Brooks held up her hand. Thank you. Please sit. She turned to Tyler. Mr. Grant, do you deny these allegations? Tyler's lawyer started to speak, but Tyler cut him off. No, his voice was barely audible. I do not deny them. Richard Grant looked at his son in shock. Tyler continued. I hurt people. I hurt Amara, I hurt Sarah, I hurt others. He paused, swallowed hard. I learned it at home. That is not an excuse. It is just the truth. He looked at Amara. I am sorry. The room was silent. Jennifer Grant was crying. Richard stared at his hands. Tyler's apology hung in the air. It was not enough. Sorry never is, but it was a start. Chairwoman Brooks turned to Amara. Miss Johnson, would you like to speak? Amara stood. Her legs felt weak, but she kept her voice steady. I defended myself, she said clearly, because no one else would. She looked at Principal Harris, at the teachers along the wall. For months, people saw what was happening. They did nothing. Her voice grew stronger. Teachers walked past when I was pushed. Administrators ignored reports. Security cameras recorded everything, but no one watched. She turned to the audience, to the students pressed against the glass. I do not regret fighting back. I regret that I had to. She paused. If you are silent when someone is hurt, you are not neutral. You are complicit. The room erupted in applause. Students outside cheered. Parents nodded. Even some teachers looked ashamed. Chairwoman Brooks banged the gavel. Order, order. But the message had landed. This was not about one fight. It was about a system that had failed. Again and again and again, after a 15-minute recess, the board reconvened. Chairwoman Brooks read from prepared notes. This board has reviewed all evidence, videos, testimonies, medical reports. And this anonymous documentation. She held up the envelope. We find the following. First, Tyler Grant, Mason Carter, and Kyle Anderson initiated physical assault. Second, Amara Johnson acted in self-defense. Third, this school failed in its duty to protect students. She looked directly at Principal Harris. Effective immediately, we are implementing new policies. Mandatory bullying intervention training for all staff. A student advocate program to receive and investigate reports. Bi-weekly anonymous surveys to identify problems early. She turned back to the students. Tyler Grant, you are suspended indefinitely. You may apply for readmission after completing 6 months of counseling. Proof of treatment is required. Tyler nodded, his face blank. Mason Carter and Kyle Anderson, 2 additional weeks of suspension. 40 hours of community service. Mandatory participation in anti-bullying workshops. Both boys nodded. Finally, Chairwoman Brooks turned to Amara. Miss Johnson, this board finds no wrongdoing on your part. Your record will reflect self-defense. No disciplinary action. You are cleared to return to school immediately. Applause erupted again, louder this time. Amara felt her mother's hand squeeze hers, her father's arm around her shoulders. She had won, but it did not feel like victory. It felt like exhaustion. Outside the boardroom, reporters waited. Cameras, microphones, bright lights. Amara! Amara! A voice shouted. Do you regret what happened? Amara paused, her parents beside her. She looked straight into the nearest lens. No, I do not regret standing up for myself. And I will not regret standing up for anyone else who has been silenced. More questions flew, but Michael guided her away. They had said enough. In the parking lot, Sarah Mitchell waited by their car. When Amara saw her, she stopped. It was you, Amara said softly. Sarah did not deny it. I have been writing it down for a year. Every time he hurt someone, Every time teachers looked away, her voice cracked, but I was too scared to use it. Amara stepped closer. You used it when it mattered. Sarah wiped her eyes. You showed me how. Amara shook her head. No, you showed yourself. I just went first. They stood in silence for a moment. Two girls who had learned to be invisible, now refusing to disappear. Thank you, Sarah whispered. Amara took her hand. Thank you. 2 weeks later, life began to shift into something new. Not normal. Normal was gone. But something different. Something better. Amara returned to school on a Wednesday. She walked through the front doors expecting whispers. She got them, but they were different now. That is her, the girl who stood up. She is a hero. She changed everything. Some students smiled. Others nodded. A few even said hello. Sarah Mitchell was waiting at Amara's locker. Want to sit together at lunch? She asked. Amara smiled. Yes. At Warriors Path MMA, the phone rang constantly. New students, interview requests, sponsorship offers. Michael hired 2 assistant coaches just to keep up. The gym expanded into the space next door. 1,500 more square feet. New equipment. New mats. New hope. On the wall, Michael hung a new sign. Everyone is welcome here. No exceptions. And beside it a photo. Amara, age 10, wrapping her hands for her first class. A reminder of why they did this work. 3 weeks after the hearing, a letter arrived. Nike Community Impact Fund. Dear Miss Johnson, it read, we are pleased to offer you a scholarship. $5,000 per year for 4 years. Contingent on college enrollment and community service. Amara stared at the letter. $20,000. Enough to change everything. Lena cried when she saw it. Michael just smiled. I knew they would see you. The GoFundMe campaign for the gym exceeded all expectations. $28,430. From 1,247 people. Strangers who believed in second chances. Michael used it to create a free program. Self-defense classes for at-risk youth. Every Saturday morning. No cost, no questions. Just training. And hope. Tyler Grant did not return to Riverside High. He enrolled in a community college instead. Started therapy twice a week. His father, Richard, joined a veterans support group. The one Michael had recommended. It was slow, painful, hard, but it was progress. One Tuesday evening, Richard saw Michael at the VA. They did not speak much. Just a nod. An acknowledgement. 2 men trying to heal. Sarah Mitchell became the face of the new student advocate program. She trained other students to recognize and report bullying. She spoke at assemblies. At board meetings. Her voice, once so quiet, now rang clear. She was not invisible anymore. And she never would be again. In December, Amara received her college acceptance letters. University of Oregon. Full scholarship. Portland State. Honors Program. Oregon State. Presidential Scholarship. She chose University of Oregon. Major. Sports Psychology. Goal. To help others find their strength, the way her father had helped her. On Christmas Eve, the Johnson family sat together. The apartment was warm. The tree was small but bright. Lena had cooked her famous roast chicken. Michael had made his terrible mashed potatoes. Nobody cared. It was perfect. After dinner, Amara walked to the living room. The Olympic poster gleamed on the wall. She touched the frame gently. Michael joined her. You proud of me, Dad? Every single day, he said. Not because you fought. Because you stood up. There is a difference. Amara nodded. I know. She turned to face him. I could not have done it without you. Michael smiled. Yes, you could have. I just made sure you knew how. That night, Amara sat at her desk. She opened her journal. The one she had kept since she was 12. She wrote, Today, someone asked me if I regret what happened. I told them no, but the truth is more complicated. I regret that it had to happen. I regret that silence was my only option for so long. I regret that so many others are still silent, but I do not regret finding my voice. I do not regret standing when I was told to kneel. I do not regret being seen when I was supposed to disappear. This is not the end of my story. This is the beginning, and I am ready. 6 months later, Amara stood on a stage, a TEDx event at Portland State University. 200 people in the audience, her parents in the front row. She wore a simple black dress, her hair in natural curls. She looked out at the crowd, took a deep breath, and began. My name is Amara Johnson. I am 17 years old. 6 months ago, a video of me went viral. You might have seen it. 3 boys attacked me in a school hallway. I defended myself. The internet called me a hero. Others called me a threat. But I am neither. I am just a girl who said no. She paused. For years, I made myself invisible. I thought silence would keep me safe. But silence only protects the people who want you gone. Real safety comes from standing up, even when your voice shakes. Even when you are afraid. Because the moment you refuse to disappear, everything changes. The audience was completely still. People ask me what I learned from that day. I learned that strength is not about muscle. It is about choice. The choice to protect yourself, to protect others. The choice to break cycles instead of repeating them. I learned that justice is not about revenge. It is about healing, about systems that work, about voices that matter. And I learned that you are never as alone as you think. Someone is always watching. Someone is always recording, not to shame you, but to see you, to witness your courage, and to find their own. She looked directly at the camera at the back of the room. If you are silent right now, know this. Your voice matters. Your story matters. You matter. And when you are ready to speak, we will listen. Because this is not just my story. This is our story. And it is just beginning. The crowd rose to their feet. Applause filled the auditorium, but Amara barely heard it. She was looking at her father, at her mother, at Sarah, sitting 3 rows back, tears in her eyes. They had all found their voices together. And that was the real victory. This is Tales of Black Justice. Amara Johnson was told to stay quiet, to stay small, to disappear. But when 3 boys put their hands on her throat, she made a choice. To fight back, to stand up, to be seen. If you believe that every person has the right to defend themselves, to speak up, to refuse to be silenced, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that like button if you stand with those who turn their pain into power. And share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Because the world needs more people like Amara. People who know that silence is not safety, and standing up is not violence. It is survival. It is justice. It is freedom. This is Tales of Black Justice, and we are just getting started.